Hello there and welcome to the Rajiv Gandhi IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. And this is me Noy Shinal, and today I'll be analyzing 24th December Daily News. So moving on with the first news. The first news is regarding Odisha's Olive Ridley Tata, and Tata tried to get a boost with a mass tagging mission, and Odisha government in association with Zoological Survey of India is planning to drill the turtles by tagging. And what are the key points of the news, and what are different aspects of this news? Let us discuss that. So key point is that scientists have resumed tagging of olive ridley turtles at Rushikulle rockery along the Odisha coast. So this is done along the Odisha coast, and this would help in identifying the migration path and places visited by this marine reptile, that is turtle. So one thing is that turtle came under this reptile section. And also researchers of the Zoological Survey of India, that is ZSI, are carrying out olive ridley turtle in three mass nesting sites. First one is Gahir Mata, second is Devi River, and third one is Rushikulla. So suppose if in prelims this kind of question are that Dahir Mata, Devi River, and Rushikulla is associated with. So if we are knowing this thing, we will know that it's associated with olive ridley. So moving on with the news, the study would reveal the inter-rookery movement of turtle in Orissa, means how they are moving within the Orissa, and as well as the migration of them to other countries also. So and this could be a unique case study because the metal tag affects to turtles are non-corrosive and they do not harm the body of the turtle, and so it can be removed later. And the tags are unique in a number, like they have a unique identification number to them, which can give the details of their name and the organization and their origin, and with an email address or email address also. So if a researcher in other country is coming across that tag turtles, they will know that from which country this turtle is from, and they will even email the location along the longitude and latitude back to Zoological Survey of India. So this was the news, and we can use this case study in our answer writing. Suppose if question is asked that what are different steps to be taken while conservating turtles, or especially olive ridley turtles are very much in news. So we can use this kind of case study for this kind of thing, that belts used or the tags which are used should be non-corrosive and they should not harm the body, and this kind of unique identification number should be involved with the turtles. So moving on with the news. So the olive ridley turtles have certain features, and they are the smallest and the most abundant of all sea turtles. So as we all know that the olive ridley turtles are most abundant for in sea turtles, and these turtles are carnivorous and get the names from olive colored carapace. So the color of those turtle are in olive nature. So see, the coast of the Odisha is very much spread with olive ridley turtles, and especially this Gahir Mata Wildlife Sanctuary. This area of Odisha, that is between from Mahanadi to Maipura. So this whole area is Gahir Mata Marine Sanctuary, and it's one of the best area which when it comes to olive ridley turtles. So this was the thing, and this part of Odisha is associated with olive ridley turtles. And similarly, this up to 12 nautical miles. So this Gahir Mata Marine Sanctuary and up to 12 nautical miles of whole Odisha, this olive ridley turtles are very much in found. So moving on with the news. So what are the different protection status, and what are the different aspect of olive ridley turtle? Let us discuss that. So Wildlife Protection Act is in Schedule 1, and in IUCN it's in vulnerable section. In CITES it's in Appendix 1. So habitat are they are generally in warm water, specifically Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean. And the Odisha Gahir Mata Sanctuary is known as the world largest rookery, that is colony of breeding animals of sea turtle. So that's why, as we have seen here also, that in this the olive ridley three mass nesting sites are there: Gahir Mata, Devi River, and Rushikulla. So these kind of locations became important when it comes to prelims examination specifically. So Gahir Mata is the world largest rookery, that is colony of breeding animals of sea turtles, and that term is Aribada, that is mass nesting. So they are best known for unique mass nesting called Aribada, So means they just don't lay egg, one egg. Means they lay egg in numbers like 50, 60, like that number of eggs olive ridley turtle do. And thousands of females come together on same beach to lay eggs. So means not just 50, 60, thousands of females come together to lay egg at one place. And they lay their eggs over a period of 5 to 7 days, and in their nest, and about 1.5 feet deep, which they dig with their hind flipper. So they do not lay their egg on surface, but they dig the surface, and here they lay their egg, olive ridley turtles, and they dig it with the help of their hands. So this is the thing with the aribada, that is mass nesting. Suppose a question could be asked that aribada is associated with. So at that moment we must be knowing that it is associated with mass nesting of the olive ridley turtles. And every time olive ridley turtles are in news due to one reason or the another, so it became important when it comes to specifically for prelims perspective. So moving on, what are the different threats to it? So first it is marine pollution and waste, and human consumption, means also human ate it for, and also for shell and leather and for eggs, and especially meat. And also the plastic garbage they stuck in the olive ridley turtles, and fishing net and discard nets and polythene. Sometimes they consume it also directly, and sometimes they are stuck in this kind of fishing nets and all this. And also fishing trawlers, fishing boats are over exploiting marine resources. So those marine resources are meant for olive ridley turtles, but fishing boats are overusing it. So that way it making bad impact on these turtles. And there were injury marks on many dead turtles, indicating that they could have been trapped under trawls or gill nets. So these kind of things are threat for these olive ridley turtle. So moving on, there's this I have earlier said about this Gahir Matha wildlife, Gahir Matha, sorry, marine sanctuary. So what is this Gahir Matha marine sanctuary? Because it's one of the most important marine sanctuary of India when it comes to olive ridley turtles. So moving on with the Gahir Mata, so is a mass nesting spot in Indian Ocean region, and only turtle sanctuary in Orissa. So a question could be asked from here also, that which is only turtle sanctuary in Orissa. So and it is the world largest nesting beach of olive ridley turtles, and it was declared a turtle sanctuary in 1997 by Odisha government. And also Gahir Mata Marine Sanctuary is one of the three parts of there are three, this whole marine sanctuary is made up of three things, that is Bhittakarnika National Park, and Bhittakarnika National Park and Wildlife Sanctuary. So this all threes are converged one into one point, that is Gahir Mata Marine Sanctuary. So this was regarding the Gahir Mata Marine Sanctuary. And moving on with the next news. So as we all know that currently Mr. Singla, Harshvardhan Singla, is on its visit to Myanmar, and Harshvardhan Singla is the Foreign Secretary of India. So currently he is on visit to Myanmar, and currently also, like in past February, Myanmar government was toppled, and a military rule came on there. So his visit is one of the main reason that Myanmar one of the is in news, and it's definitely a major news when it comes to international relation of India. So moving on with the news. So what were the key points? So democracy should be restored in Myanmar at the earliest. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Singla conveyed the military rules, this kind of thing. And since February 2, India has expressed concern at the ongoing military campaign against the democratic elements in Myanmar. But this statement has additional significance because for the first time, government has hinted that India is ready to mediate between various sides. So for the first time, India is showing its interest in Myanmar after the coup. So this kind of thing is very important, and this visit is very important because the first relationship status they are going to achieve with India is from this visit. So and also the one particular thing about this visit was there were no meetings with Suyuki was being allowed by the military government. So Suyuki meeting with the Suyuki, as we all know, is a Nobel Peace Laureate. So who is currently at house arrest. So none of the meeting was allowed with Suiki. So moving on with the India Myanmar relation. So why it is significant? Why the relationship is significant? Because it definitely is a gateway to the east. Means Myanmar is the only Asian nation that shared its border with India. and thus it provides a very much kind of geopolitical or geostrategical location. And also for regional cooperation, Myanmar is very much interested because uh, 21% of world population is in BIMSTEC country, and Myanmar is also a part of BIMSTEC, and feature a combined of nearly 2.5 trillion GDP of the world is featured in BIMSTEC. So these kind of things are very important for us, and also for the security perspective of Northeast, because Myanmar shared about 1600 kilometer of border is shared by Myanmar with India. So we all know that security perspective Myanmar is also important, and also for energy security perspective Myanmar is also important because Myanmar has rich reserve of oil and natural gas, and India imports nearly 80% of fuel. Myanmar is important for India, and Myanmar is potentially an important partner in energy sector as future offshore, because we all know in South China Sea there is this very much demand of very much layer of oils and natural resources are there in South China Sea. So India have to tap into this to get those kind of energy demands, to fulfill the energy demands of India. So, and also for food security, Myanmar is important because of pulse and beans of Myanmar are a very good producer. Myanmar is a very good producer of pulse and beans. So food security is also a major perspective when it comes to relationship between India and Myanmar. And also for counterbalancing China, relationship with Myanmar is necessary, because we all know that Chinese government or the Chinese expansionist policy is trying to take hold of the neighbors of India. So if we lost Myanmar to China, so that will be a very put us into a very bad situation when it comes to our internal security also, and also for our international relations. So moving on, what are the India Myanmar relations challenge? So first is trade challenges there, because it is far below potential, and and the major reason is that India's potential capacity is very lackluster, and implementation is not been done or at the rate through which it should be doing. And also India imposed some restriction of pulse, so the price realization for Indian farmer is not hampered. So these kind of trade challenges are there, and also there is this security challenges. For example, Rohingya influx is there, because nearly 40,000 Rohingya Muslim who were denied citizenship in Myanmar came to India. And also like India pushes for pushing the refugee back to Myanmar, trying to push the refugee back to Myanmar. And also the conflict in Rakhine province, which is basically Rohingya Muslims province of Myanmar. So this kind of thing happened. So that's the reason many Rohingya Muslim came to India for a shelter, and this kind of things can implicate the security issues in India. So that's why this is also a challenge for India Myanmar relationship. And also we see the growing Chinese factor over Myanmar, because in China has Myanmar has agreed for Belt and Road Initiative, and also welcome Chinese investment in various project. And there is this port, Kiaoku Piu port. So this port, when it comes to India Myanmar relationship, when we want to mention the China factor, we can mention this Kiaoku port. So because this port was given in control of China, so this is the reason China is also getting close to Myanmar. So that's also a relation challenge between India and Myanmar. And moving on with the news, the other news is that CM Stalin launches green scheme. Means CM of Tamil Nadu, southern state of India, has launches a green scheme in which he is planning to ban single use plastic. So what are the key points of this news? So let us get on with that. So the key point is that Chief Minister MK Stalin on Thursday, launched Mean Dam Manjappi scheme. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. So in this scheme, the usage of cloth bag will be promoted to discourage plastic bags, and the Chief Minister listed out harmful effect of single-use plastic product and highlighted need for replacing them with cloth bag. And also they are measuring some doing some activities to replace single-use plastic, because electric connection of 130 factories have been withdrawn for violating the use of single-use plastic. So we can see he looks like a very serious man when it comes to single-use plastic, and this was done. So what are the harmful effect of plastic, single-use plastic, and all that? We will be reading it. So single-use plastic are disposable plastic and can be used only once, because they are thrown and or recycled, and these items are things like plastic bag, a straw, anything made of a plastic which cannot be used again or which have to be recycled is single use plastic. And plastic is so cheap and convenient that it has replaced all other materials, and it takes about 100 of years to disintegrate. So suppose a plastic is there in 2020, after 100 years, like 2120, it will degrade. So we can see how much time it is taking on this earth to degrade, and we have a limited space on earth, and also there are many harmful chemical and health related issue regarding to that, and it is a huge problem. It took the if you look at data, 9.46 million of plastic waste generated every year. So this much, 9.46 million tons, that is a very huge mm, kind of data. And in our country, 43% is single use plastic. Whatever the plastic we are using in India, 43% of this plastic is single use plastic. And the single use plastic product also prevent the spread of infection, and it can use a syringe application, drug test, or means for medical use these are also used. And also it's a help have enlisted in fight against food waste, and keeping food and water fresh for longer, and reducing the means the simple use are there, that we used to have our plastic water bottles, or we use syringe and different kind of plastic materials when when the health kind of thing is related. So these are the things basic use. So what are the different problems? So the petroleum based plastic is not biodegradable or non biodegradable, means it is not degraded in environment. So it usually goes into landfill where it is buried or gets into water, and from there it goes into ocean. So the amount of toxicity of ocean is increasing due to this plastic waste. And also in the process of breaking down, it releases toxic chemicals, and which make their way into our food and supply. So the different kind of harmful effect are there. So it's made from fossil fuel, and they have a huge carbon footprint, and it will be there for 100 years, and also a tiny percentage is recycled. And uh, uh, by going into the water, it bring back toxin into food and drink. Leaches is a process where the toxicity of a chemical or substance is increased whenever it's going up in the food cycle. So leaches, toxins, and food and drink. So we will be covering that in environment section also. And it also causes hormone disruption and cancer, and it pollutes our ocean, kills marine animal, and enters our food chain. So these are basic harmful problems which are associated with single use plastics, which is MK Stalin is planning to ban. So what with the way forward for whole of the India, and especially when we are writing mains answer writing? So what are the way forward? Because when we are giving a problem in our answer, we have to make a solution of that problem also. Otherwise our answers would be incomplete. So economically affordable and ecologically viable alternatives should be provided, and they need to promote alternatives like cotton khadi bags and biodegradable plastic. So suppose a question is asked in mains, that what are different ways, so we can use this case study of this Mindam Manjappi program by Tamil Nadu government. So as a case study, we can use Mindam Manjappi. So we can say like Tamil Nadu Stalin is, she should not name the politician in writing an answer, but we can say Tamil Nadu government has done so and so by this project. And also more R&D sectors should be developed for looking for a sustainable viable option, and citizens have to bring behavioral change. So behavioral change should also be adopted, so that our behavior regarding this use of single plastic should be changed. so that atmosphere is created in our neighborhood, that this thing is a harmful thing. So moving on, the next news is that RBI differs tokenization deadline for by 6 months. So we'll be discussing what is tokenization and all that. But first, let us discuss what RBI has said and what's in the news. So what were the basic thing is the news. So the Reserve Bank of India has decided to defer the implementation of tokenization of debit card and a credit card for online transaction by a further of 6 months. So 6 months gap is being provided for this tokenization process. Don't worry, we will discuss what is tokenization. And in addition to tokenization, industry stakeholder has devised alternative mechanisms to handle any use, including recurring mandates, EMI option, or post transaction activities that currently involves require a stage of clear of data by entities. So the different stakeholders, when it comes to debit card and credit card, they have said we have to find some alternative ways when it comes to EMI option and also chargeback handling option. So we have to look outside tokenization when it comes to EMI and chargeback handling. So this was said by the different stakeholders, which is associated with credit card and debit card. So what is this whole tokenization thing? So now we will be discussing that thing. So what happens is that firstly we will see that what is the typical definition of tokenization. So what tokenization will do? So tokenization will replace card details with a code called a token, which will be specifically for the card, the token requester, and the device being used to pay instead of card details. So card details should not be shared. Instead, a token would be created of that card, and that would be shared by the supplier or by the agency asking for credit card details. And the token will act as the card at point of sale terminal and quick response code payment system. So a QR code or that QR code would be called as token. So in direct card details should not be sent to the service provider. Instead of that, that card details is converted into a QR code, so that the privacy of the user is maintained, and the goal of the process is to improve safety and security of the payment. So this was the thing about tokenization. So what is the need of tokenization? So to avoid data theft of users from service provider, RBI has introduced tokenization, and Reserve Bank of India has allowed tokenization of debit, credit, and prepaid card to enhance the safety of digital payments ecosystem. So the safety should be increased when it comes to digital payments. So that's why the tokenization process is involved, and the bank has offered permission for the process using all types of payment service and method, including near field communication. This is NFC. For we see that there is this machine, ATM machine, and on that ATM machine, suppose if we are just putting our ATM card, that machine is reading our data. So that is NFC machine. And for magnetic secure transmission also, and in-app payment method. So for all these three method, we should be using the tokenization method. So I suppose that you must have known about tokenization. So let a quick recap. Suppose this is our credit card number 1 2 3 4 5 6. So suppose this is our credit card number. So that will be, suppose we are giving these details to a service provider. So that credit card number will not be given to the service provider. Instead of that, a QR code will be given. Suppose this is a QR code. So instead of this number, a QR code will be given to the service provider, and then service provider will scan this QR code, and then all the details would be there. Means the transaction would happen over QR code, and then this number of your credit card or debit card will be safe, and a complete privacy will be given. So this is the complete process of tokenization. So how is tokenization transaction is different? So what is happening in regular card use, that suppose a payment is initiated, card details is sent, then after that bank requests the issuing bank for other issuing bank of the card user, and the issuer bank accept or rejects the transcript, and then transaction is processed. So here card details are sent, and card details are transmitted or saved at each step. So for example, here card details are saved, here card details are saved, at this step also card details are saved, at this step also card details are saved. But how tokenized card transaction will proceed. So suppose a payment initiated using saved card information that gets converted into token, or for a simplicity say QR code. So this, the credit card information is converted into a token, and merchant using token service send tokenized information to the bank. So the service provider will send a tokenized information to the bank, and the bank acquiring forwards the tokenized request to issuing the bank of the card user. So this will also again be a tokenized request, and then again issuer bank validates the token and accept or rejects the transaction. So this token will now be validated instead of the credit card number. Hence the transaction would be complete. So credit card details are not credit card or debit card details are not transmitted in this kind of number, and the details transmitted are tokenized. So this cannot be deciphered. A complete privacy would be given to the card holder. So this is one of the one of a big thing which is coming to India now, because privacy when it comes to card payment is a very much needful need of the hour when it comes to card payment. So that's why this thing is kind of simplifying whole privacy process when it comes to financial transaction. So moving on with the next news. So the next news is that India Australia trade deal is to be fast tracked, because currently our Minister of Commerce that is and Industry, that is Piyush Goyal, held a virtual meeting with his Australian counterpart, and many things were being chalked out. So yeah, let us discuss all that. So the key point is that Ministry of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal on Wednesday held a virtual meeting with his Australian counterpart Dante Han to fast track negotiation regarding to bilateral comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. So India and Australia have signed this comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. So what are these agreements and what are the relationship of India and Australia? We will be discussing it. And both sides have pledged in September that an early harvest announcement for an interim trade deal would be achieved by December. So this was the thing that by December all the transaction process and announcement which were done should be achieved. So moving on with the news. So what are the bilateral economic and trade relationship between India and Australia? So it has grown significantly in recent year, and so the some recommendation of the Indian economic strategy prepared by Australian think tank defined a pathway for Australia to unlock opportunities offered by Indian economic growth, and the strategy aims for clear exposition. And there are 10 key sectors which are identified by Australian government to invest in India by the Australian players. So education, agribus, resource and tourism, energy, health, financial service, infrastructure. All these are 10 sectors where they are planning to include it. And also they have categorized 10 states of India. For example, Andhra, Delhi, NCR, and all these states they have categorized, and they should be Australia will be giving focus to this state. And so India is the fifth largest trade partner of Australia, and 29 billion dollar trade is there. So this is also a big number, and it represents 3.6% share of the total Australian trade. So this was it. And India main exporter to Australia are refined petroleum, medicaments, and our major imports are coal. Australian coals are of very high grade. So Australian coals are demanded in all over the world, and India is also taking Australian coal. So major imports are coal, copper ore, concretes, gold, and education related service. For example, Indian students are going in Australian university for education. So these were the bilateral and economic trade relations. And also there is this agriculture and science and technology relation, because Australia India Strategic Research Fund is established in 2006, and also it consists of India Australia Biotechnology Fund, India Australia Science and Technology Fund, and Grand Channel Fund and Fellowship Scheme. So these are the relationship between India and Australia when it comes to science. And also that this fund focus on energy, food and water security, health and environment, and joint committees of science and technology and biotechnology are establishing to administrate this fund. Australian side is also cooperating in our Clean Ganga project. So this is a very big project, ambitious project by our Prime Minister Modi. So this was the thing. And also the Ganga Regeneration Committee was being led by this Australian counterpart, and Australia is trying to find some bilateral cooperation when it's related to Ganga River, and also in 2018 different delegates were being happening, and also agreement on cyber and cyber enabled critical technology was signed. So these are the basic relationship between Australia and India when it comes to agricultural science and technology. So, and also and Australia passed an Indian economic strategy to 2035, and it was a bilateral dialogue in which will shape India Australia bilateral ties. And basically there are three pillar strategy: first is economic, second is US strategic, and third is rethinking cultural thrust, or we can say the soft power diplomacy. And also this this focus on building a sustainable long term economic strategy with India. And as discussed earlier, it has identified 10 sectors and 10 states. So whenever our international relationship with are concerned, we cannot just sideline Australia, and it's one of the major countries for when it comes to our economic or bilateral. And also we know that currently like to quad was happening. So these are all the things related to India and Australia relationship. So thank you, see you tomorrow, have a great day.